This school here is a success story for In Harm's Way. It replaces a school that was built back in 1935 that was also built before anything was really known about the seismic hazards that are in this town. In Harm's Way helped educate the local people plus the school district so that they could address this problem, and they put a referendum up for voters in 2006 that passed and brought in $35 million to evaluate all the schools in the district and to do something about those that were greatest risk, which this school that used to be here was. And now there's been 2 new schools built since the referendum has been passed, and the 1,200 children that go to these schools are no longer at risk of the school collapsing. One evidence of the success of In Harm's Way is in 1997 we also studied a volcano which is right next to one of the largest cities in Indonesia called Merapi. And we developed a disaster plan for the villages around the volcano. There's nearly 1 million people at the base of this mountain. We helped them to understand how they could respond when they were warned of an eruption. Well, just a few months ago, Merapi blew. And because of this effort that we made, probably 20 to 30,000 people were saved, and only a few died. This is the Wasatch Front, and this to my right is Utah Valley. And it's connected to the Salt Lake Valley to the north. And these valleys are formed by earthquakes along this fault called the Wasatch Fault. And because of the earthquakes, we call these valleys rift valleys. They form in response to tectonic tension, which is stretching the Earth's crust here in this region. And this stretching causes the valleys to drop suddenly and create large earthquakes about every 300 years. Not so long ago, this valley was filled with a large lake called Lake Bonneville. And the shoreline of the lake is actually right here. I'm standing on it, but it's also right up there on top of this slope I'm standing next to. And since the lake evaporated, the Wasatch Fault has actually torn the shoreline and dropped it 80 feet to where I'm standing now. Not only just the shoreline, but the entire valley has also dropped that far just in the last few thousand years. And every time it drops, it creates a large earthquake. These earthquakes drop the valley suddenly at the speed of sound about 2 to 3 meters. Now, the last time that happened was about 500 years ago. And since that time, all of these buildings have been built in the valley, and hundreds of thousands of people have moved here. As you can see, the fault is inclined at an angle of about 45 degrees right underneath the valley where everybody lives. And so everyone is built on top of the fault and will be very close to the epicenter when the next earthquake happens.
Ron Harris has also testified before the Board of Trustees of a major university and convinced them to decommission their dormitories that were seismically unsafe. New ones are currently under construction and scheduled to be completed summer of 2011. In Harm's Way is different from other disaster groups and agencies because we go in before the disaster to prepare rather than after to clean up. Not only does going in before the disaster save lives, but it also requires less money than the cleanup effort. Any help you can offer, whether it be donations or volunteering your time, will help save lives. Please visit inharmswayhelp.org.